Afternoon all, we are back for a random live stream. Hope you are all well and feeling refreshed on this wonderful bright and breezy Tuesday afternoon. Mrs. T has gone swimming, which means I've got the house to myself, which means I can get online and have a little chat, just me and you guys. Always like our little one-to-ones. Just give it a little bit of time for everyone to pile into the room. Creeks Killer Man, hello. Patrick, good afternoon. I think Matt is having meetings with Paul and the group getting ready for the 26th, just in case they lock him up before then. Tommy was on Paul's chat last night. Did you see the big interview last night, guys? It's had lots and lots of views and a much bigger and resounding. That's the key word. It's had a very resounding effect on the political world, on the right. And we'll get into that a little bit later. We've got a few things to get through today. But we do have a political storm brewing. That's not my fault. So before anyone starts shouting at me, oh, Paul, you're not going to be bashing reform again, are you? Absolutely not. You guys know that I am a reform supporter-ish. They are the party that I would currently vote for, did vote for at the last election, and who has my support for the moment-ish. What I can do on this channel is bring you inside information that you might not otherwise be aware of, tell you the truth, tell you what is happening in the background, tell you about things that you wouldn't otherwise necessarily know about or appreciate, and then you can form your own opinions. That is what I'm here for, to give you the unbiased truth. Well, I say unbiased, you know whose side I'm on. I'm on the side of all things that are right and against all things that are wrong. But there are things that has to be said, and this afternoon is going to be one of those afternoons. Colin says, good afternoon to all on this dark and wet day in the Toon. So it's wet and raining up in Newcastle, is it, Colin? I love Newcastle City. I love being up there. Got some brilliant friends up there. Love the place. Pal Owen says, we all need to vote reform, whether you like him or not. It's our only way to get this out of this mess we are in. I'm not disagreeing, and I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm going to be doing this afternoon is telling you the truth, telling you what is going on, and you can form your own decisions. That's what it's all about. I'm going to give it to you straight, and we're going to talk about what is really happening, the problems that Nigel faces. It's not my fault that he faces these questions and these problems. And until this dilemma is sorted out, things are not going to get any better. Again, I reiterate, it's not my fault. It's no one's fault. It is what it is. Wendy says, you are spot on, and he may well be. But like I said, we'll get into this. Patrick says UKIP will grow rapidly. Watch this space. Just going back to the interview with Tommy last night. I imagine that most of you have seen it. Had a profound effect. My phone has not stopped ringing from all different people, from all different places in politics, etc. One question I did want to cover today, a question that came up a few times in the chat, was Tommy, people saying Tommy's too excitable, that he speaks a bit fast, he shouldn't shout, etc. And I thought I'd just cover that quickly. Oddly enough, both before and after the interview takes place, he's very relaxed. It's like a nice regular chat. When he gets going, he gets very passionate, which I think we all understand. But I believe that Tommy's habit of speaking fast and being quite loud without taking a break during interviews is because he's become so accustomed to not being able to speak. Everything has to come out quickly before someone interrupts him, before someone questions what he's saying. Now, what I tend to do with my guests, all of my guests on this show, I'm just a part of the machine that makes it work. When I get guests on, and I've got a great guest coming on the show tomorrow, it won't be live, it will be a recorded show. That will be revealed. You'll see who that is. My job is to let them speak. You want to hear from them. You don't want to hear from me, because you get to hear from me on shows like this. So basically, it's my job to let them speak. So Tommy will understand as we get on. He'll understand that when he's speaking to me, he doesn't have to speak fast. I'm going to give him his chance to say whatever he wants to say. And yeah, but I just thought I'd cover that, because a lot of people say a lot. There was quite a few who were a little bit critical, saying, oh, you know, he needs to slow down. I'm not saying he doesn't. But what I'm saying is there's a good reason why he's like that. And it's very understandable. Wendy says UK join with reform the only way. Now, Wendy, that gives me a great in. I wanted to do that a little bit later, but I'll tell you what we'll do. There's over 2,000 people watching. So we'll get straight on to the big subjects of the day. There's a few other bits that I want to cover before you go. But there is a political storm brewing with reform. Things are going quite nicely for them at the moment. I applaud Richard Tice and Nigel Farage's press conference yesterday about the alleged incident up in Manchester. Notice I'm very careful. Alleged incident. And yeah, I mean, look, Manchester Police, Greater Manchester Police have basically come out and said that this issue is out of their hands. It's now with the CPS. These are things that we have to understand. So it's no good us having to go at Greater Manchester Police for the fact that there's been no charges. There's been no charges because the CPS, for whatever reason, haven't yet decided whether they're going to bring any charges. So I utterly and wholeheartedly applaud Nigel and Richard for their press conference yesterday, and for them announcing that if the CPS do not follow up with charges, that they will take out private criminal prosecution of the individuals involved. Well done, reform. So I go back to Wendy's message, UK join with the reform only way. Now, Wendy, I would agree with you. That is what I want too. I think that is what everyone wants. And I'm just going to pop up on screen now something that is in Reform's manual, if that's the right expression. Blimey, I can't read that now. From here, it's too small. Let me have a look. But in that, if you can probably see it better than I can, it talks about getting rid of cancel culture. So get rid of cancel culture. Don't we all agree with getting rid of cancel culture? Anyone who doesn't agree with getting rid of cancel culture, speak up now or forever hold your peace, as it were. So I'm sure that everyone watching right now agrees that we need to get rid of cancel culture. Are we all on board? So yesterday, a friend of mine tried to join Reform, wanted to sign up, become a paid member, and found this on the membership application or candidate application. Sharing social media content, etc. You cannot join if you don't share the party's values, e.g. Tommy Robinson, Extinction Rebellion, etc., etc. Meaning that if you support the views of a certain Mr. R, you cannot become a candidate. And if you've been a member of certain parties, you cannot join. bearing in mind that we've already covered that they want to get rid of cancel culture. Is that not a bit of an oxymoron? Is that not a bit of a contradiction in terms? Now, look, I can put up with that, and I'm sure many of you can too. We get the score, we're not stupid. But the bigger problem is just around the corner. So, Wendy, I'm coming back to you because your message was perfect for this topic. And thank you for your message. Let's just have a little look here. Hula Hoop says, listen, Patriots, we need Farage, self-preservation. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying today, guys. I'll repeat what I said at the beginning of the show for anyone that missed it. There is a political storm brewing with reform. My job, or my wish, not my job, it's not my job, but my wish is to steady the ship, steady the boat, make sure that that political storm doesn't rock the boat too much. That's what I would like to do. And what I'm about to tell you today, none of it is of my doing. None of it is of my fault. And we are speaking amongst friends. We're not stirring. Okay. We're talking about this issue amongst like-minded people. Now, Nigel has a big dilemma coming up very, very soon. At the last demonstration or event, celebration, whatever you want to call it, I prefer to call it a celebration. At the last celebration, we had about 100,000 people who turned up to show support for this movement. Nina, thank you so much, Nina. Hi, my lovely. Tommy is just passionate about this country. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nina. Really appreciate that. We had 100,000 people show up at the celebration. And a question was asked. How many of you here today voted for Labour? No show of hands. How many of you here voted for the Conservatives? No show of hands. How many of you here voted for reform? 100,000 people put up their hands. Now, this is the issue. This is the dilemma that Nigel is facing. Bearing in mind, guys, if you've missed it, and we are slowly getting to the point, bear with me. Bearing in mind that Reform's own literature says that they want to get rid of cancel culture. Yet when you want to join or become a candidate, if you believe in values such as from anything from Extinction Rebellion to Tommy, etc., no doubt the list is probably bigger than that. Well, we know it is. You can't join, and you certainly can't become a candidate. So that would immediately eliminate that 100,000 people that were at the event in July. In theory, not in fact, because you can still vote for them, but in theory, it eliminates those people. You're not welcome. And I don't know about you, but I don't go into someone's house if I know I'm not welcome. It's not my sort of thing. Now, Nigel's dilemma, and this is where we start to get down to the nitty-gritty. 3,263 people watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. Most importantly, give me a thumbs up, guys. It helps the video, and it's free. So here's getting to the crux of the matter. Here's the big issue for Mr. Farage, is that on the 26th of October, we have another event where we are expecting even bigger numbers, potentially, than we had last time. But let's say it's 100,000 people. All of those people, again, will be voters of reform. Now, just recently, I hate to say this, but again, it's not my fault. Anyone out there that is a big Nigel fan, don't shoot the messenger. Nigel threw Tommy under a bus on GB News. He did. Fact, period, end of story. That happened. That was Nigel's words, not mine. So don't ever go at me for pointing it out. But let's put that to one side. Let's put that to one side for a moment. Let's forget that. Let's forgive him even. Here's the problem. If a certain Mr. T goes to prison on the 28th of October, there's going to be a lot of very pissed off people. And they're going to be pissed off with anyone that pointed an unnecessary finger at that individual. And rightly so. Because when someone is in trouble, especially when they hold the same political beliefs as you, especially when basically they're on your side, you don't need to kick them when they're down. And a lot of people will have noticed that and they won't forget. But here's the deal. The Reform might think that they've got this beautiful bubble, this crystal ball, with their wonderful ex-Tory members inside the party, attending their conference, voting for them at the elections. But the reality is, those 100,000 people that put their hands up in July, those 100,000 people that will put their hands up again in October, are the base support for Reform UK. Without these people, they will not win a general election, which is what we all want to see. Now, I am in touch. This is the part that Reform will not know, but they will know after I've said it. I am in touch, regular contact with dozens, and I mean dozens, of Reform UK parliamentary candidates. They're all unhappy. They're all pissed off. They're all fed up with a lack of loyalty to their own people. Let's take Mr. T out of the equation for the moment. An attack on him is an attack on all of us. An attack on the regular working class people is an attack on every single one of their voters. Well, not every single one, but most. And a storm is brewing within inside the camp, because if Reform's own candidates are unhappy with their leadership or the patter of their leadership, that's not good for the party, and it's not good for unity. It's not good if we want to win the next general election. There's a lot of discontent, I believe, inside Reform right now. And you can believe me or you can believe me not. It doesn't really matter to me whether you believe me or whether you don't. I can tell you that's a fact. And it's a fact because the tone of the leadership does not reflect their own views. I go back to what I put up earlier on. This is what you can't do. Unprofessional language, etc., etc. We all get that. Sharing images, memes, we get that. They're in bad taste. We understand all that. Or sharing the values of parties like Tommy. It doesn't make sense. They're trying to put a round peg in a square hole. They've got to wake up and understand who their support are. And I am desperate for them to wake up and understand who their supporter base is so that we can unite and win the next general election. Nigel, if you get to watch this, we're on your side. Despite some of the things you said, we've embraced you. We've embraced your party. It's time for you to embrace the people that support it. That is a fact. There's nothing I can do about that. I can only reveal to you what I know. There is a lot of chatter on the wires. The WhatsApp groups are a lie. The phone calls don't stop coming in. Reform are doing a lot right, but they're still getting the very basic fundamentals wrong. Hence the rise of UKIP. And that is going to happen. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I can't quite make up my mind. On that note, Richard has got an interview with the UKIP leader, Nick Tanconi. That is live on Richard's show tonight, 8 p.m. That's not one that you should miss. Some people believe that a resurgence of UKIP would be a good thing because it will keep Reform on their toes. I tend to agree with that because up until yesterday, at least, Reform have toned it down quite a bit. They've toned it down far too much for my liking and probably for yours as well. And a lot of people out there will be saying, come on, Paul, he's playing the game. Nigel, he's doing what he's got to do. He's got to keep the mainstream media on side. Guys, he's never going to keep the mainstream media on side. They have already made up their minds. I'm sure Nigel's big enough to understand that. Yes, he has to play the game. I get that. But he also needs to take the mainstream media on. He's got the profile. He has the respect. He has the support. And by taking on the mainstream media head on, he will gain even more support. He will gain even more faith from the people whose votes that he and his party are going to rely on. And this all ties in very, very nicely and very well with my previous video about the dangers of Robert Jenrick. And Robert Jenrick is a very, very dangerous man when it comes to Reform, because I don't trust him. I don't believe him. I don't trust the Tories. I don't believe the Tories. And I think it's all bullshit. But they are after Reform and they are after Reform's votes. And they will take them. They will take them. If Jenrick gets in charge of the Conservative Party, mark my words, Reform have a bigger problem than they've already got right now. Robert Jenrick is Reform's biggest danger. Bacon Tea Cake, thank you. He don't have to agree with Tommy, just stop slandering him. Exactly. Exactly. And it was worse than that, wasn't it? But I don't want to get into and having a go at Nigel live stream. I'm actually trying to help Nigel. I'm a supporter, but he keeps getting it wrong and he's not seeing the fuller picture. If he's a man of the people, if he's a real man of the people, he would know that what I'm saying is true. He would know that I'm right. You have to have the support of everyone. I like to use silly analogies, particularly football ones, because people just tend to get it. If you own a football club, it's no good having just the support of the few people in the director's box around you. You need the support of the whole stadium. Because when the time comes to sing, get the manager out, it ain't the people in the director's box that'll be telling you the truth. It's the rest of the stadium that will be singing, you don't know what you're doing, get out. We are the people in the stadium, Nigel. Skyhawk 747, Nigel wants the people to perceive he is fighting for us, but after throwing Tommy under a bus, it's proved to me his passions are fake. Maybe he's just a money man. £1,000 for his conference tickets. Look, that's your opinion. I'm not going to agree or disagree. I'll let you decide for yourselves. Killer Krieg's man, T-Funds, mate, I support you on the loyalty issue. Thank you. Betty Boo, thank you too. Nigel's making a big mistake criticising Tommy. I can't vote for Reform while they continue to attack him. He's done more for women's safety than anyone, and I will always stand by him. I think that's the way a lot of people feel. No message, just wanted to see my name in lights. Absolutely average. Thank you very much. Warhawk, a super sticker. Thank you. Matthew says Jenrick is out Farage in Farage. Matthew, He is. I mean, yesterday was good. Fair play to Reform. Well done, lads. That was great. But they have been outperforming Nigel in recent weeks. I hope you guys get this. I hope you understand all I have is good in my heart. The best intentions for Reform, for everyone out there watching, for everyone out there that wants a government that can give us what we want, give us what we need, give us our goddamn country back, give us pride back in being British, give our children, our women and our kids a hope, a future, a brighter British future, united in peace, with police services up and down the country that treat everyone the same. We all want these things. We all have these ambitions. And that can only come if we all get together and unite the centre-right. It is a must. Now, this is where it gets a little bit worse, I'm afraid. Things for your consideration. God forbid Tommy gets sent to jail on the 28th, which is looking increasingly likely. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of people that are going to be very, very, very pissed off. And they're going to be pissed off with people that helped send him there. And people will make their own minds up as to who helped or who didn't help, who put their foot in it, who could have said something in support, or at least chose not to say anything at all. Do you think, my question for you is right now, watching this, do you think that that is going to endear the majority of Reform voters, or is it going to push them further towards maybe UKIP? Is it going to push them further to Robert Jenrick in the Tory party, if and when he becomes leader? And I think he will. I think he will. I think he knows exactly. I think he knows all the right things to say. Actually, I believe that he means what he's saying. I do actually believe that Robert Jenrick believes what he says. The problem is, if he becomes Tory leader, they won't let him do it. Because basically the Conservatives of 2024 are no different from New Labour. So if you vote for the Tories, you just get Labour light. Sky Hawk says, does Farage not understand that by supporting Tommy, he will gain millions of votes? It seems that someone has had a word in Nigel's ear. Look, I think that Nigel fears he will lose millions of votes, but he's wrong. We have to have a new beginning. We have to have a new start. We have to have a new dawn in British politics where the party that we want, a leader. This is what we want. We need a leader, a man that can and will and is prepared to stand up and fight for this country with all of his heart and soul. That's what we need. And the man that is capable of doing that will have to show a lot of bravery. He is going to have to accept that the mainstream media are going to come after him. The vile, lying, cheating, left-wing, in some cases hard left mainstream media will come after them with intensity. If you're not brave enough to face that intensity, then trying to become Prime Minister is surely not for you. If you're going to lead a country, if you're going to be a leader, a true leader, a person that men will follow, then be a leader. You have to accept that things aren't always going to go your way. You have to accept that stupid, horrible left-wing journalists are going to come up to you. They're going to shove a microphone under your bugle and ask you ridiculous questions. Or then just tell them straight. Don't dilly-dally around the answer. Tell them. Call them a traitor if you like. Do whatever you want. But man up and face it and do it. Could I do that? No, not particularly. I wouldn't want the wrath of the world's mainstream media on my back. It wouldn't particularly be for me. But then again, I'm not leader of a political party that wants to be Prime Minister. So if Tommy goes to jail on the 28th, all of these people, all of these reform candidates that are currently sitting inside reform, how are they going to respond? As I said, a storm is brewing. And if Nigel didn't know it before, well, he does now because I've just told him. Robert Loads, thank you. Jenrick may deliver. Nigel has also let us down. I don't believe that Jenrick would deliver. I don't think he'd be able to deliver. English Patriot, any news on Mayer? I haven't heard anything about him. Is he all right? Blackheart, thank you. Do you still have the Unite thing where we can find out if anyone from your area is going to London? I want to go, but not alone. At the moment, I don't. I tell you why. After all the problems with the riots, I took all that stuff down because people were getting on there, leaving messages that I didn't want to be left. I didn't have time to moderate it. But look, if you come down, you won't be on your own for very long. So I thank you very much, says old Tommy. Mandy, thank you. I've met Jenrick. He does mean what he says, but will he be able to carry it through? Exactly. Ex-British Army Paz 49. Paz, welcome, mate. You are welcome on my channel anytime. If you haven't seen Paz's channel, get over there, drop him a sub. Great guy, veteran. Thank you, Paz. He says Farage needs Tommy's support to help get reformers, extra voters, and to make them seem serious contenders as opposition. Paz, spot on the money, my friend. I mean, look, this is the deal, right? Is that reform must understand that we are the foot soldiers. It's us that are going to be prepared to get out there and spread the message. It's YouTubers like myself and Paz who have huge reach. We can spread the message for reform and on their behalf. Our army of people that have signed the pledge can get out there and leaflet. This is the people's army. Reform talk about the people's army. Sorry, Reform. We are the people's army. We are. We have more members than you. Our membership is larger than yours. We are the people. And many of those members will be crossed over. James Cameron, thank you very much. Only tactical vote in the next general election will help get rid of this government, this stinking, rotten communist government. Splitting votes between UKIP and Reform are giving votes to Labour. James, you're right. You are right. But let me tell you something, is that is unavoidable unless Reform unite. And as again, I know there'll be people out there right now got the ump with me. They're going, oh, Paul, you shouldn't be talking like this. You should be encouraging everyone to join Reform. It's not my fault. It's not. I didn't say what Nigel said on GB News. I didn't ban people from joining the party. I didn't write that on their membership stroke candidate list where you can't join or become a candidate if you share views with certain people or if you had previously belonged to certain political parties. I didn't make the rule up that if you're if you are a former SA offender, you know what sort of offender I mean, right? If you're one of them, you can still join Reform. But if you belong to Anne-Marie Walter's party called For Britain, a spin-off of UKIP, you can't. You tell me where that makes sense. You tell me how that's unity. That is not unity, that is division. And it's dividing your army. You don't divide your forces. Not unless you're in a position to take victory easily. And they're not in that position. We all know. Elite Sophie, good afternoon, Paul. We are watching on the sofa in Spain. Big congratulations to Sophie. And Danny, Sophie is Danny's partner. Be seeing Danny soon. They're going to have another little baby. Some good news. Well done, Soph. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. What can I say? Best news of the year so far. Lizzie C says, hi from Birmingham. Pigs will fly before I vote Tory or Labour. Absolutely. Absolutely. Glamorous Lioness, much love to Paul and everyone. Sat in my car as heavy rain. We're down in Brighton. It's actually quite bright today. Quite bright and breezy. Guys, I want your opinion. There's nearly 5,000 people watching on a Tuesday afternoon, which is unbelievable. I love you all. Thank you so much. On that note, I put up a little poll this morning. How much does this community mean to you? And this was the result after 5,700 votes. 66% of you said that this movement massively helps you through your day. Wow, that's amazing. Unbelievable. I thought if that was 25%, I would have been pleased with that. But at 66%, that's just remarkable. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that. But we have to remember, when we talk amongst ourselves, like on a stream like this, we are generally, I mean, yes, there will be some people watching that aren't on our side, of course. But the vast majority of you will all be singing pretty much from the same song sheet. So we must be allowed to discuss our dirty washing in amongst our own public, right? And people can say whatever they like, think whatever they like about me or whatever I've said. Doesn't really matter. The proof of the pudding will be in the eating. And when that eating takes place, it's going to tell us that there's going to be a bad taste in the mouth of reform if Mr. T goes to jail and certain people are going to be pointing fingers. Now, there's time for that person, Nigel. There's time to put things right. There's time. There's time for Nigel to speak up, speak out in defence, how he really feels. He knows what he should say. He should have said, perhaps he would have been better off saying nothing at all. If he wants to avoid the Mr. T issue, that's his choice. No one's going to necessarily have a dig at him for that. It's disappointing, but it's understandable. And in the political world, some might say even quite wise. We get that. But to actually stick the boot in was a low blow. There's still time to put that right. And Nigel, understand this, and I think you'll get to see this video. Understand this, my friend, that if you do put it right, if you do stand up and be counted, well, your support would go through the roof. Confidence in you would go through the roof. Belief in you as a leader would go through the roof. I don't know who advises you, Nigel. And you're clearly a very, very clever man, much more clever than I am. But you're probably not as streetwise. You're probably not on the same wavelength as ordinary people on the street that have the ear of the general voters. You're in a bit of a bubble. All politicians, any celebrity, and Nigel is a celebrity, they all live in a bubble. All they ever get is people patting them on the back. They very rarely have anyone whisper in their ear, this is the truth. So that is where we are at with Nigel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me just go back to the comments there. AMH, I agree. What's your saying regarding TR? Silenced. Some says I have no problem with the way Tommy speaks at all. No, I mean, most people don't. Edna says Tuesday is missing. Any info on his whereabouts? No. When was the last time he put a video up? What will Tommy say about two-tier Kia's secret? I don't know. I mean, if I was going to advise him on that, I would say don't say anything unless you know for sure and can prove it. Yeah, most people appreciate the passion. Jean says is now like the tune. Absolutely. Ian says Farage is a fraud. This is the attitude that we have to change. You know, if Nigel is going to become PM, that perception amongst his own supporters has to change for his own sake. Like the chat, guys, for Paul. Thank you very much. Hit the upvote button. Fiona says Mr. Tuesday needs a break. Guys, I've got to tell you, that is very, very true and possibly very likely. I mean, this is an intense business, right? What we do, people probably just, they watch a video, you know, and they watch a live stream and they're, don't really. But trust me when I tell you, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. I got up about 7:30 this morning, and I've only just come off the phone pretty much for the first time about 10 minutes before I came on this live stream. There is always another conversation to have. Euphaloof says the CPS are complicit. Look, I think, you know, I can't talk about that case, obviously, for legal reasons. What I can say is I think that people are following it very carefully. I believe I know the reasons why no charges have yet been filed. I'm not going to tell you those reasons yet. I will do in the future, but for the moment, I'm going to keep them to myself for very good reasons. Tommy may also be suffering from PTSD due to the way he's been handled by the government. So remember, he speaks the truth and does not hesitate. Only liars hesitate. Good point. I mean, there's no question in my mind, no doubt, no question that he suffers from PTSD. 100%. That is a fact. That is a fact. Ryan, what do you mean, Paul? Alleged incident in Manchester. We've all seen the videos, so it's clear what's happened, so don't lie to yourself. Ryan, I'm not lying to myself, my friend. With respect, you are known to the world as Ryan. I'm known to the world by my full name and my face on screen. If you break the law using the handle Ryan, you're never going to hear another word from anyone. If I do, I'll get my collar felt. The incident in Manchester right now, by law, is alleged. And until people are found guilty, it remains an alleged offence. That's the law. So, Ryan, I have to stick and adhere to the law. I'm not lying to myself or to anyone else. I'm trying to stay out of trouble. Thank you anyway. Appreciate that. Fiona says, Tuesday was on yesterday. Yeah, I'm sure it's okay. The CPS is overshone by the government. Look, there's a lot more to this than meets your eye. There has to be, right? But like I said, we can't talk about the case. It is what it is. Let me move on to one or two other bits and pieces that I wanted to speak to you guys about today. A couple of very important things. We've done the community poll. I showed you the community poll. I also wanted you to have a look at this because with the amount of people that have been coming into the UK over the last few weeks, record numbers on certain days, nearly 1,000 the other day in one day, I can't help but think that massive questions have to be asked to all the RNLI and the people that work voluntarily in most cases, I believe, for the RNLI. Are they a service that is there to serve our fishermen, people that go out for recreational purposes at sea? Are they there for the British public? And they have been wonderful over the years. My old dad, bless his heart, he always used to donate to the RNLI. And that was a habit. I first remember my dad putting a fiver into the RNLI bucket when I was very young. And I asked him, and he said, "Oh, son," he said, "you always put money in an RNLI bucket." So I grew up with that as a habit and a tradition. I haven't given anything to the RNLI now for 2 or 3 years, and I won't be giving them any more money, because I think they've become nothing much more than a glorified taxi service. And I'll be very interested to hear from anyone that works for the RNLI, serves with the RNLI, or from family members who has family working for the RNLI. How do they feel? Because there's a big conflict of interest there in many respects. Look, I'm a human being. If I saw someone in trouble in the sea, I don't care what they look like, I don't care where they come from, I would almost certainly risk my life to try and save theirs. That's what human beings do, right? But would I volunteer to go and collect unchecked men from the middle of the English Channel to bring them back to be amongst our women and children? The answer to that one is definitely not. So where are we, and where are the RNLI in 2024? How can they survive? Because it's my belief that donations to the RNLI will have plummeted beyond all recognition. And if they haven't, they should do. Why should we pay to bring people here that are potentially going to cause us problems? Why should we donate towards that cause? Or am I being harsh? Now, I asked that question in a poll, and the question was, what are your feelings towards the RNLI in 2024? Nothing but a taxi service. They're doing a good job. My feelings haven't changed. Only 3% of those voted, 8,500 votes when I took this screenshot, only 3,500 said that your feelings towards the RNLI has not changed. Only 3% felt they're doing a good job. And to some degree, I would have to, being a former boat owner, being down at New Haven at times where I used to keep my boat, I've seen the RNLI in action on many occasions. I will be amongst the 3% that say they're doing a good job. But with the way that they've been behaving recently, 94% said they have become nothing but a taxi service. That is a shocking result. So if you or have a family member that works for the RNLI, I'd be interested to hear from your viewpoint. Is it just, are you just doing your job, a job that needs to be done? And I get that. We need the RNLI. They've saved hundreds, if not thousands of lives over the years. They're very brave men and women, often going out in sea conditions that, trust me when I tell you, you would not want to go out on. Believe me, you would not want to go out and do what they do. So I don't doubt their bravery. I don't doubt their commitment. I don't doubt their honour. But I am questioning what they're doing right now. The RNLI are accused of facilitating illegal entry into this country and therefore bringing people that are a danger, in particular to our women and children, bringing them to our shores. How do you feel about that? Because remember, this is a voluntary job. So who is going to volunteer? Who is volunteering now to go and collect these people from the middle of the sea? Who is volunteering to do that? because I'm not, and I'm sure that most of you wouldn't either. There's only one way to stop the illegal boats. Only one way. It's a very simple way. It's a very simple word. It's only 2 letters. It's no. No. You just say, no, you're not coming in. End of story. Simple as that. Game over. Job done. End of story. End of problem. No. 2 words. 2 letters. 1 word. So as far as the RNLI and, of course, Border Force collecting these people halfway, and in some cases we believe even further than halfway, is obviously just become an unsustainable joke. Anthony Wild, thank you, Anthony. Paul, I think Nigel has to play smart. The far left and confused think tiaras are racist and pushed by the media. Trump and Farage stay strong together. Anthony, you know what? Trump and Farage. But Farage needs to be more of a Trump. That's what I'm saying. He needs to take a leaf out of his friend's book. Trump doesn't shy away. Trump's not scared of the press, of the media. He attacks them. He calls them out for what they are. You say he's playing it smart because the far left are confused. They're not confused, my friend. They know exactly that Tommy is no racist. They know that Nigel's no racist, but they make out he is. They're never going to stop making out he is. There's no magic word that Tommy or Nigel can say that will stop the loonies on the left calling them racist and fascist. They will always do that because that's what they do. Everyone's a fascist to them. If you're remotely to the right of Trotsky, you are a fascist. And this is the point. Nigel is never going to win over the media. He can only beat them. That's the bottom line. He's got to beat the media. Betty Boo, 1972. Thank you so much. Sadly, Nigel won't win in 2029 unless he changes his stance on Tommy. The reform vote will end up splitting between them and UKIP. He needs to wake up. Hey, I agree. It's a stark warning. It's right there in front of his face. And if he doesn't believe it, have a look. Come to London. Not that he would, because he's too good for us, right? 26th of October. There's his chance. No, let's be fair. I don't expect him to do that. I understand right now that's not a good place for him to be. So I'll take that bit back. But look, he needs to open his eyes. Bacon tea cake. He agrees with most of what Tommy says. People change. Nobody is whiter than white. Mandy Dueck, thank you. Cleverly in the lead in the Tory party race. He may well be, but I don't think he'll win. If he does, that will be great because I think he's utterly hopeless. And he spent time, obviously, as the Home Secretary and made a complete mess up of it. Llewellyn, thank you very much. Paul, if Tommy goes down, the whole country goes down with him, sir. Dazza, hi, Paul. I'm not sure if Ben Habib has completely left reform. He's a big loss if he has. Ben Habib would be the best leader in my mind. I think he's great. I wonder what he thinks about Mr. T. Ben would be my number one choice for leader of reform, alongside Lee Anderson. I don't know Ben's views on Tommy. He said on GB News that he'd never met him. So, but what he didn't say, what he said was he'd never met him and he wasn't prepared to offer an opinion, and that was the right answer. Robert Lodes, win the election, the civil service governs. Yeah. Need to clear out. Lee Grant, thank you. We must stand united, not divided. Absolutely agree. Katie, note to oneself, thank you for being a shining light in dark times. Much love and respect to you and your family. Thank you so much, Katie. I really appreciate that. I really do. Let's have a little look at the regular chat. Thousands of messages pouring again. 5,000 people in the chat. Let me try and get down to the close somewhere down the end there. Nigel hasn't been to jail for what he believes and lost everything. True. Lorraine says, strongly agree with what you're saying, Paul. I hope everyone realises that this is not a dig at reform or at Nigel. This is a will to see us. And when I say us, you see, I'm fully inclusive. I'm fully inclusive. I am prepared to forgive and forget. You have to look past things to win a game. Okay? Again, it's like the football team analogy. Sorry, big football fan. You don't have to like your fullback if you're a striker. You don't have to get on with him. You don't have to socialise with him in the evening. He doesn't have to be your best mate. You don't even have to talk to him in the dressing room. But as long as he passes the ball to you at the right moment and you stick it in the back of the net, as a team, you win games. And this is a team. Nigel needs to understand that he is part of a team. He may think he's the leader. If he does, that's fine. He may well be. But he is only the striker. We're the midfield, we're the central defence, and at times, we're the bloody goalkeeper. As Lee says, reform are more than just Nigel. David Lee says, you can support Tommy and reform. That is not a problem. Farage is protecting the party from the mainstream media and the left. Things may change. David, thank you for the message, mate. I'm not having a go here. I'm just, questioning your statement. He says, Farage is protecting the party from the mainstream media. What protection is that, David? When was the last time you saw the BBC or ITV or Channel 4 or The Guardian or even the so-called right-wing newspapers? When is the last time that you saw them showing reform genuine support? And because Nigel doesn't support Tommy, does The Guardian tell you that, actually, he's a good guy? Actually, you could vote for reform. No. It doesn't matter what he says, David. The mainstream media will never change their minds about Nigel Farage. So he may as well do a Donald Trump. Shit or bust, nothing to lose. As far as Nigel's concerned, we have the country to lose if it goes wrong. You see, as I said, people can disagree with me. That's fine. They can even have a go at me if they wish, as being someone that's, trying to split the camp. It's not true. But all I see all the time is messages like this. I was a big fan of Nigel's. If he doesn't get what I'm saying and takes this as genuine, caring advice, so be it. Let's see what happens. When one of England's favourite sons is put in jail, let's see what the reaction is towards reform then. And all of their, I'm going to say it, all of their members, candidates and supporters who like Nigel are too scared to come out in support. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I understand why. There are certain people who have bigger fish to fry. But there are many others that just can't find the courage to come over the top. And we ain't going to win a war with soldiers that ain't prepared to go over the top. Metaphorically, of course. You get what I mean. And if they're not prepared to put their head above the parapet, we'll probably be defeated in the trenches. Llewellyn, there you go. Paul Thorpe at Paul. Even Parliament shut Nigel down yesterday. The truth is they don't like the truth. There you go, Llewellyn. Llewellyn has just banged the nail firmly on the head. Even Parliament hates him because he represents us. So, Nigel, know your job, know your supporters, ask your friend Donald Trump, win the next general election. Same thing. Look, I think Nigel feels he'll get a load of backlash. I think he's scared of the consequences. I think you're right, but he gets the backlash anyway. Shit or bust time. This is our country we're talking about. We're not talking about a bet down the pub. We're not talking about a game of cricket at the weekend. We're not talking about a game of cards. We're talking about the future of our country is at stake here. There needs to be a peaceful political revolution. Fane says he's trying to be tactical, but he's failing. He's failing and he will fail. You cannot win a general election with a divided party. And whether Nigel likes it or not, I can tell him because I probably speak to more of his candidates than he does. His party is divided. Fact. From within. 100% fact. That's the problem, guys, no? Wow, nearly 5,000 people watching. Don't forget, thumbs up, guys, if you haven't already subscribed. Please do so. Says Sparkley's Creation, says, I wish Ben was leading reform. Don't we all? Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate that. Mr. Wolf says, reform will be nothing without us. 100,000 people noticed there, exactly. Graham, divided we fall. Indeed we do. Glenn said, so you're not voting Tory, Labour or Reform, so you vote for him. Look, Glenn, look, first of all, there's no elections coming up. There's a long time before I'll be putting a cross in a box. May, I think, at the earliest. Right now, I'd vote Reform. I say that I'd vote Reform. I would vote tactically to get rid of Labour. So that may not be Reform where I live. But right now, you asked me the question today. So the question today means is that we have to get rid of this Labour government. So I may have to hold my nose and vote Conservative. It's like choosing whether you're having your teeth pulled out or your toenails pulled off. But I prefer a Conservative government than a Labour one. And that's because Reform aren't strong enough yet. And they won't be strong enough unless they listen to some very sound advice, not from me, from people within the party, many of whom are too scared to stand up and speak. And that is where we are at. Let's have a look. Thank you very much, Katie. Thank you for being a shining light in dark times. Much love. I read that one out, didn't I? Thanks, Katie. Appreciate that. Carla, love your channel. Paul, it's helped me hugely. Love TR. Shifty is a new member, guys. If you want to help me out on this channel, and it is becoming bloody expensive, I've got to tell you. If you become a member, it really does help, but only do so if you can afford to. Thank you. Debbie, will someone in charge? We need someone in charge with the same attitude as Paul. Thank you, Debbie. It's not easy because I know that there is a lot. It's very difficult for these politicians, but they've got to show some still. Raven, RNLI is getting funding to pick up migrants. Peter, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Terry Agel, Nigel's only human. Media bullying. Trump win could be the boost Nigel needs. I agree. A Trump win would be brilliant for the UK. The thing is, Terry Agel, is that, yes, we understand that, the media do bully. But if you're not prepared to take those bullets, then you should get out of the firing line. And that is why I believe that there are better men out there, personally, Lee Anderson, and more than anyone, Ben Habib, who is prepared to ask the right questions, to make the right speeches, and to stand in front of the bullets that come his way. I feel that Nigel at times is trying to dodge those bullets, and you can't dodge them because the media will only fire another one. Kevin says, thank you, Kevin. Reform should let the voters have a vote to see if they want Tommy in the party. Never going to happen, mate. Peter 234, be careful what you wish for. The RNLI are not to blame. It is the government that are abusing them. Understand that, Peter, but look, I'm not blaming the RNLI, but I asked the question, would you volunteer, bearing in mind that I believe most of these people are volunteers, would you volunteer to do that job? I don't believe that many people would. So it begs the question, why are these people going out and facilitating the illegal entry into our country? I'd like it explained to me why they're doing it. And I don't wish for the end of the RNLI. They've been a national, angel over the years. But I'm not giving them any more money, mate. That's a fact. No, thank you. Let them fund themselves. Shifty Quiff, Paul, you're a gent. Have a beer on me. I will do. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Sarah, really hope Tommy doesn't go to prison. He will always speak his mind. Love watching Paul and Maya. Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. Vanda, thank you again, as always, Vanda. Thank you. Dear Paul, I was a fan of Nigel and Richard, but I'm sick to death of their snobbery. I think I'm done with reform. I'm waiting on Richard's live tonight. Our Tommy is a national treasure, and Nigel needs to realise that. I mean, look, Vanda, that's a great message. Again, what I said earlier, right? When I said that Nigel is clearly a very intelligent man, and Richard, I kind of quite like Richard. I can't help but kind of quite like him. I would imagine he's quite a nice bloke, right? But they're not streetwise, neither of them, right? You wouldn't, they wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in my world, right? So an education doesn't always add up to common sense. What Vanda has said there makes pure common sense, right? What she's saying is, look, the snobbery, we don't need it. Tommy's a national treasure, and Nigel needs to understand that. And that's dead on. He doesn't have to say it. He just needs to understand it and keep stum at times. Remember what I said in previous videos? When you don't know what to say, sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut. What do they say? When you get nicked, go no comment. So they say, no comment. So next time that he goes on national TV and the mainstream media are still coming after him and they mention Tommy, no comment. I think it will work. But he needs to do better because of what he's said recently. There's a big court case coming up. A certain man needs help. Otherwise, he is going to be separated wrongly, in my opinion, from his family, from his beautiful children, again, this time potentially for years. I just hope and pray that the judge sees a bit of common sense and that he can avoid that. I think it will be a massive, massive, massive mistake to send him to prison, but there again, I'm not a judge. That is something that I don't know anything about. Right, guys, it has been an absolute honour and a pleasure to have you all on this afternoon. Julie, thank you very much. T goes down, we stand strong, it's bigger than him. It is, Julie, we will be standing strong, absolutely. This isn't even really about the movement, Julie, you know that? I mean, look, whatever happens, this movement now has got so big that it doesn't matter who's there or who's not. the movement will carry on and hopefully go from strength to strength in peace and in harmony, bringing people together. That is our aim. I was watching Tim over at Fast Jet Performance this morning. Great channel. And Tim was saying he's sick and tired of the word community. And you know what? He's absolutely right. Sick and tired of this community, that community, the Hindu community, the Sikh community, the Jewish community. You know, there should only be one community, the British community. And that's absolutely spot on. That's what we want. We want one community, the British community, that lives together in peace, harmony, and bloody happiness. Electro Doc says, my Tuesday subscription had turned off. Check yours. A1, AI is that, Paul? Everyone has to vote to stop who they don't want in. Don't think about who you want in unless they're a party large enough to win. That's what I was saying a minute ago. I think you got to vote tactically because I don't think reform right now, today, are strong enough. And they won't be strong enough all the time. There is division. Uniting is the key. Right, boys and girls across the world, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. As always, I've enjoyed your company. I hope you've enjoyed mine. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel for the umpteenth time, because so many of you do watch don't subscribe, and it is absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a penny, and you can even give me a thumbs up and you won't be any worse off. Lovely to see you all. Stay safe, stay well, have the great rest of the week, and we will see you soon.